Okay, we're here today to talk about the Build Newcrest Legacy Challenge Empty World Variation. This Empty World Variation is something that I created, but I cannot take credit for Sims 4 Legacy challenges, Sims 4 challenges in general, and even the Build Newcrest Legacy Challenge because that is a thing that has existed for a very, very long time. So what is a Legacy Challenge? If you've been on the internet and have watched Sims 4 content, you've probably seen people take on the 100 Baby Challenge or the Rags to Riches Challenge. One of the oldest challenges for The Sims in general, not just The Sims 4, but in all of The Sims games, is the Legacy Challenge, where you're tasked to play one family for 10 generations. I think that generally tends to be kind of, well, challenging for people because you tend to kind of play your families all of the same way, and it tends to get boring, so just getting to the end of 10 generations is a challenge in and of itself. Now let's talk about the original Build Newcrest Legacy Challenge. That one was originally created by Simply Vanilla Sims, and it basically takes on the same format of playing one family for 10 generations. The twist on it, however, is at some point kind of beginning of when The Sims 4 rolled out, they had the world of Willow Creek, they had the world of Oasis Springs, and then after a post-launch update, they added in the world of Newcrest. Generally, when The Sims 4 team releases worlds, there are some pre-built houses that are already in there, some pre-built families, and then you maybe have like one or two empty lots that you can fill in if you really like building. This Newcrest world that was added was just kind of a little different because it was completely empty. It was a blank slate. And so Simply Vanilla Sims had the great idea of tying that together into a legacy challenge where at the end of each generation, you had to build some community lots or some houses that you would then leave in the Newcrest world so that it looked like it was an actually populated community versus this wasteland of nothingness. I wanted to try this challenge. It sounded really interesting. I get to play, I get to build, but I saw that most people started off with a house and then cheated their funds to zero. The challenge rules described which job you also get, and I thought that that might make the challenge too easy. Basically, having money makes things easier in The Sims, so I wanted to make it harder for myself so that I wouldn't eventually get bored and stop. So I wanted to change the rules up. It had to have a Rags to Riches element, and I wanted to use the rules that James Turner has been using on his channel as recommended by one of his community members. So you don't have a job, first and foremost, and then the only way to sell your items is actually directly to another sim, which means you can't sell anything through your personal inventory, household inventory, you can't sell a painting from an easel, you can't sell plants directly from the ground, and so on. You're either selling things in a retail shop if you have Get to Work, a selling table if you have one of the many expansion packs that has selling tables in them, or directly to the grocer and the garden booths that became available in the Cottage Living expansion pack. So now let's talk about the Build Newcrest Legacy Challenge Empty World Variation. It is a spin-off of the Build Newcrest Legacy Challenge that Simply Vanilla Sims created, but as I mentioned, I made the rules a little bit harder. There is a little storyline that goes along with it. Basically, something awful happened to every major population center in the world, and all of the cities and towns that had previously existed, they don't exist anymore. They're just empty lots, just like Newcrest. And all of the Sims have been moved out of whatever houses they had. No residencies exist. They're all just kind of nomadic. Maybe they're living in tents off the fringes of what used to be their old cities and towns, but they don't have houses anymore. So a government entity has stepped in and basically picked out a few people that they're going to charge with rebuilding communities so that Sims actually have some place to live. Your founding Sim is selected as one of those folks, and they are put in charge of the community to be called Newcrest. You're still going to have to pay that government taxes, but they are depending on you to develop the land, develop a community, and in the meantime, all those taxes that you pay off, that's going to be able to invest in water facilities and power plants, because yeah, you're roughing it. You don't have any of those amenities when you first start out. So one of the things I did for the empty world variation to actually make the the storyline play out, and also the way that The Sims is, you get a bunch of phone calls from, Sims that you know, inviting you over to their houses to hang out, inviting you to community lots. And in the Build Newcrest Legacy Challenge, you're not supposed to leave Newcrest. So I just figured it would be a little bit easier if I evicted every single family from their home and then got rid of all of community lots and all of the other worlds, so I would get less invitations. That was what I was trying to do. But if you have cottage living, snowy escape, city living, all of those have festivals, and so you will still get calls to attend festivals. So that's a little annoying, but for folks that are used to playing The Sims and accepting invites, it is a little easier not to get as many. So to do this, I did do all of the manual work to remove all of the lots from all of my games, bulldoze them all, and I realized that that was a lot of work. So I do have available in the links to this video a Google Doc that has all of the rules for all of the Build Newcrest Legacy Challenge Empty World variation so that you can follow along with something that is not a video. And I also have my save file. Now it does start in spring, so that is one detractor for using my save file, is that you're limited to starting your game in spring. But I've already removed all of the lots and I've evicted all of the Sims. I don't own all of the worlds, but for all of the worlds that I own that you also own, at least those will already be empty for you. After agreeing to take out a loan for a deposit on the land, your Sim was lucky enough to be assigned a plot of land in Newcrest. Their goal is to start a family, establish a little area for them, and maybe attract others to join the community as they get established. But the first things first, they've got to survive, they've got to pay back their own loan to the government, and then eventually your legacy family will go on to thrive and build up the rest of Newcrest. So for the starting rules, most of them are going to be the same for the Build Newcrest Legacy Challenge if you've played the original, but all existing Sims have to be evicted from their lots, all the lots must be bulldozed, and then all of the non-special community lots, those have to be recategorized as residential lots. The founding Sim has a rags to riches start, so the money has to be changed to 0 when you start playing, but obviously you still need to play from a lot. And then you're going to need a little bit of starting equipment so that the cost of the lot and then some of that starting equipment, that becomes your debt. And then you have to pay that debt off, obviously, in order to finish Generation 1. You pay back the loan by whatever loan amount that you have and just deducting that amount from your current household funds. And you do that by kind of figuring out what the new total is supposed to be and then using the money sheet to give yourself exactly that same amount of money. Your Sim cannot sell anything from their personal or household inventory. Your Sim can't sell any photos, any paintings from the easel. You can collect royalties on songs and books and programming apps and videos, but everything else, paintings, photos, craftables, pieces of furniture that you don't need anymore, those have to be sold in a retail store, or if the item is small enough, then you can also sell it via a vending table or the street gallery. Also, if you have cottage living, they have those little market stalls where you can buy groceries and you can also sell plants and other small items to them, and so that's also an option. Your Sim cannot leave their home world except to engage in limited commerce. So Magnolia Promenade, which was available with Get to Work, that is supposed to be the retail world, so you can put a retail store on there, use that to sell your items. What I did for my game, I created a trading post lot in Magnolia Promenade and I put the 2 stalls from Cottage Living on there so that I could buy and sell from a vendor. The drawback to that is you have to pay $100 to get a vendor to staff the stall, so additional costs that you have there. If you get on in the Legacy Challenge and you are living in Newcrest and you have family members that live in Newcrest, you can visit them all you want. Staying in Newcrest, it's 100% okay, but you can't leave Newcrest unless you're doing some sort of commerce activity. Once you buy or harvest an item, you can't delete it. If you have no use for it, you can sell it, just not from your inventory. And to get rid of unwanted items, you can incorporate them into the builds that you leave behind so your family doesn't have to use it. If you can't sell it and you can't use it, you have to save it. Maybe your family's a little bit of a hoarder. The whole family line are a bunch of hoarders, and hey, they might want it, but maybe their great grandson or daughter would want it, right? Yeah. And then if you have seasons, I totally recommend emptying out your calendar, and then once your legacy family is a little bit more established, they'll start adding holidays to that just to make it a little bit more fun. So to recap the rules from the original Build Newcrest Legacy Challenge, you have one founding sim, that's it. 2 of your 3 traits must be randomized, and then I am allowing a 3rd trait to actually be selected by you so that it's actually helpful for your sim's aspiration. You play on a normal lifespan. Aging must be on for the active household and should be left on for all of the non-active sims as well. Of course, if all you end up having in your world are ghosts and senior sims and then no spouse to choose from, then you can also seed households from the gallery and just kind of download new households so you have a crop of new people to meet. However, once you download those sims from the gallery, they're not allowed to live in a house or be assigned to a plot, so they can't live on a lot. And then legacy heir children cannot start work on their aspiration until the current legacy holder has completed their generation's objectives. They can still be alive, but once they're done, their generation has ended, and then it's time for the new generation to start and they take over. So how to win or keep score? You can win the challenge by completing all of the generation objectives, filling up the entire world. Each time you complete a generation, you receive 1 point. Stingy, I know, but it's 1 point. There are also a lot of bonus points that you can earn, but there's also a couple of penalties as well. Bonus points you can get: each unique sim death you get gives you 1 point. Each unique woohoo spawn gives you 1 point. If a founder or heir spouse has 3 unique traits, you can also claim 1 additional bonus points because it's sort of diversifying the pool of traits that your children can have. A bonus point is awarded for every unique collection completed notice you receive. This includes frogs, crystals, I think plants are ones as well. It is going to be hard to get them all, however, since you're not supposed to be able to leave Newcrest. For every gold medal event or party that you complete, you earn 1 bonus point as well. And then for every childhood aspiration that is maxed out, you can claim 1 bonus point too. There are also bonus penalty points, extra penalty points. Basically, every time a child or a baby is taken away by social services, you have to deduct 1 point. There are also ways to lose the challenge. You lose the challenge if your legacy family fails to complete their mission and your legacy heir dies before that happens. But you actually only lose 1 point for that. I know that this challenge might be hard, so I'm giving you the opportunity to restart as well. Like if your legacy heir or the founder dies before they complete their mission, your current household should be moved out, all of their possessions sold. Whatever building structure may be on the lot that they were living on, that can stay there. It's just going to be kind of unfurnished. It's going to be a shell, basically. That family, if you end up having a family, is just going to be so devastated that they can't stick around in Newcrest. They have to move on. However, if you had family members that had moved out of your current household and are living as neighbors in Newcrest, they can stay where they are. It's just the active household that has to move away. You can create a brand new legacy founder, just someone with a new last name, and then, just the government noticed that progress wasn't really being made, and so they assigned someone else new to take on the lot that the old legacy heir or legacy founder had. Your new sim gets to try their hand at finishing off the dead legacy's objective, starting from the very beginning of that generation. That generation, however, not going back to the very first one. And then they have to start from scratch at 0 simoleons. They can choose to marry someone. Maybe they want to marry someone from the original legacy family, try to legitimize their claim to the land. Maybe they become enemies with the legacy family. Who knows? Things not to do. Don't play more than 1 household. Your game is limited to the legacy heir, their live-in spouses, their live-in children, just basically anyone that lives in that household. But you can't just invite your friends to live with you just so you have a roommate. That's not a thing. Children's spouses can also move in if there's enough space in the active household. Obviously, you'll want the next gen's heir spouse and children in your household. So don't move out the child that will carry on the legacy challenge for the next generation. Don't restart the game after an unplanned event. Just roll with it. It's fun. And then if you own a retail lot, you can't restock items at the store. You can only sell things that you already own, that you've harvested, that you found, that you crafted. So you can't just like auto buy them. Here's some other don'ts in terms of money and death. Do not plant a money tree. Do not harvest a money tree. Do not cash in any reward points to get the money tree seed. Money makes the gameplay easier, and you want to struggle a bit, so don't do that. And then don't bring any dead Sims back to life. You can plead for the Grim Reaper not to take them, but once they're dead, they're dead. I would 100% recommend leaving some room for chaos in the game. Just because your Sim is tasked with establishing a community does not mean that they're perfect. Embrace the drama. Extramarital affairs? Sure. A Sim that's obsessed with cow plants? Do it. Take your family out on a walk during a thunderstorm. Spice it up, you know? Some other stuff to do that you can do. You can extend a Sim's lifespan by buying special items like the Potion of Youth, Essence of Life, but it can only be used one time per Sim throughout their entire lifetime. And then you should move out non-heir children if you like. You probably need the space for the rest of their household, but ideally you want them sticking around to help fill out the world, create a sense of community. However, if you're out of space in the household and you need to make room, you can move them out to a spare house or make them move in with other family members in an existing residence. And if that's not an option, then you kind of have to kick them out into the ether of unhoused Sims, which is like them leaving town and they're not going to return. And then succession laws, there's a bunch of succession laws that are available with just the vanilla Sims 4 Legacy Challenge, and you can pick whichever set of rules you want for that. All right, let's talk about the generations. So Generation 1 is living off the land, and just like in the original Build Newcrest Legacy Challenge, your Sim is eventually going to want to build a park where their lot is. They were attracted to a place with good soil. They could see that being like a really beautiful green area where people could gather. So before you do anything, you have to pick the lot that you want. So move into the lot, you can lay down a tent, you can lay down a fire, you can lay down some sort of pea/woohoo bush. You obviously need your mailbox. And then if you want like 1 to 2 places to sit, go ahead and put a chair. In my game, I put a haystack. You can also decorate the lot with some debug items like plants and trees and rocks and decorative bushes. It's not going to be anything that's harvestable. It's not going to be anything that's worth any money, or at least it should not be worth any money. So feel free to go hog wild with the free debug menu. You have to set your lot to off the grid. You can also set it to simple living and great soil if you want. Basically, you've moved into a piece of land. There's no water. There's no electricity. You have to just get by. Keep tabs on the money that you spent getting started on your founder's lot, like how much the lot was worth, how much all of the amenities that you bought for the lot are worth, and then write that down so that you can pay back your loan later to the government and then cheat your funds to zero. So your objective is going to be to purchase a woodworking table before you start building any structures, because you're going to have to need a place to actually build things. You're going to complete the freelance botanist aspiration. You're going to grow 8 perfect quality plants. You're going to purchase a water fountain or a feature just to like, hey, like I made a well and now we have water. If you have seasons after you have a spouse, you can establish a spring holiday in which the objective is to plant seeds. You can then select any other traditions you want, like if you wanted to make it an Easter-ish holiday with a flower bunny, you could. You're going to have to repay your government loan, and then you're going to have an heir, and that's it. Your Sim can't have a job. Any teens and adults in your household, society's in flux, they're not going to school. Their school does not exist. If they autonomously go to school, you have to bring them back immediately. And they can't do any homework either because homework doesn't exist. Your household can only travel to engage in commerce. You can wander around your immediate neighborhood of wherever your lot is, but if you want to travel to other areas of Newcrest, you're going to need some sort of mode of transportation. So maybe it's a bicycle, maybe it is a model car that you have sized up and your family has a vehicle that they can get around in. Like, you can't order delivery at any point. You can't order groceries for delivery or food for delivery. And then you probably should mute your phone. Never answer or respond to texts. Newcrest is empty. There shouldn't be any working cell towers, so you're roughing it. When you're done with completing all the objectives, you bulldoze your lot, you plop down your 8 perfect quality plants, your water fountain, and then literally anything else you want to leave behind that you currently own in the lot. You evict your family, you recategorize the lot into a park, and then you build your very first community lot. Obviously, you're probably going to have to want to remove the simple living and off-the-grid lot traits, but you can keep great soil. That's completely fine. And that is Generation 1. Generation 2 is all about building up a neighborhood. So your legacy heir had a lot of work to do growing up, probably helping their parent around the farm/garden that they were developing, and they also probably didn't have a lot of space of their own. So their priority is really to build a few small, low-cost houses so their growing family can actually, set down some roots, have a little extra space in themselves. They have also decided to send their kids to a schoolhouse to learn to read and write. Basically giving their children the opportunity to do something they were not able to do. Before you get started, select the location of where the low-cost neighborhood is going to be. You start off with just one lot, but obviously all of the neighborhood is going to be kind of next to each other, so it is 3 lots that you're selecting for. 2 of the houses must end up being below 20,000 simoleons after being fully furnished, and then the 3rd and final house should cost no more than 55,000 simoleons. If you move into the first lot, you've designated as a sub 20,000 simoleon home, and that's your residence for the time being. You select the simple living lot trait for this home. You're not required to select off the grid because you should have access to water, but you should still avoid having anything that uses electricity. So you're probably still using candles and natural lighting. That means no dishwasher, that means no microwave, and that means no TV. The objective for this generation is to have some form of transportation before traveling to the other neighborhoods within the world. You should also be visiting the community park at least 3 times. Once before you build house 2 and house 3, and then a 3rd time before you complete the generation completely, just so that you're making use of the community lot that you have built previously. If you have seasons, you can establish a winter holiday. It can include a present exchange and a visit from Father Winter, and then you can select whatever other traditions you want. And you can even just completely copy the Winterfest holiday if you want. So before you build house number 2, you need to complete level 2 of the Big Happy Family Aspiration and purchase a Robo the Friendliest Circuitry Kit, and that unlocks the ability for you to build house number 2, which is the second of the sub 20,000 simoleon homes, and then you build it in the same way that you built house number 1, and at that point you can start moving out members of your household to the other lot that you are now abandoning. And then once you complete level 3 of the Big Happy Family Aspiration, then you can start building house number 3, and then that's the sub 55,000 simoleon home. You can move out members of your choosing to house number 2, and then just continue to fill up the neighborhood like that. You'll also want to complete the Big Happy Family Aspiration at the very end, and then have a legacy heir. Alright, so additional rules. Members of your household are not allowed to have careers, but if you do have Sims move out of your active household, you can have them join the gardener career if you have seasons, or the culinary career if you don't. If you have a store, you can't restock any items. You can only stock things that you already own or have. The national government at this point has improved the road infrastructure a bit between Newcrest and wherever your trading outpost is, so you can now order grocery delivery, but you still cannot order meals or pizza. And all of your lots can also select the Child's Play lot trait if you want. After you're done with this generation, you can put any items you're taking with you in your household inventory and just double check that your final property's value is no more than 55,000 simoleons. Then you move your family out of the lot and then leave the rest of the home furnished. Once you move into your new lot, you may move non-heirs into house number 3. You can also remove the simple living lot trait of all homes once you're completely done with this generation, and then you can replace any off-the-grid items that you had in house number 1, but you still have to stay under the 20,000 simoleon mark. Alright, generation 3 is the prolific writer. Your legacy heir had an opportunity to study, and that experience awakened them to the joys of the written word. While they and their family must still run a retail store, the sim has their heart set on not only consuming every book available, but also trying their hand at becoming an author themselves. Ultimately, their legacy will be to convert their home into Newcrest's first library. Before you get started, select the lot, purchase it, the bones of your home, and your Sim's bookcase and all of the books that they own will remain on the lot as a town library, so plan accordingly. You can definitely change wall colors, tear down interior walls, but the shell of the outside of the home must stay the same. Select the peace and quiet lot trait before you get started. The objective is to complete the best-selling author aspiration and then own a copy of every book possible and read every single one. So it is going to require some careful inventory. Toddler books are also a thing that you need, so you would read to your toddler in order to read those books. And then the last objective is just to have a legacy heir. You may use the mailbox to publish your books, gain royalties from your books. So that's like another avenue for you to make money. And then you can now buy meals directly from the fridge and the oven. You can still order grocery delivery if you want, but you still can't order meal delivery or pizza delivery. After you are done with Generation 3, you move out all of your items except, of course, for one of the fully stocked bookshelves. Any other lights, furniture, whatever that your Sims family wants to leave behind for the library. And then you move out your Sims, recategorize your lot as a library, and then renovate it. You have to keep the existing structure, but feel free to tear down those interior walls or add additions or annexes or additional buildings. Generation 4 is looking for love in all the wrong places. That legacy heir grew up in a household where the quiet reading of books was the norm, and they're starved for excitement. Your Sim's idea of a good time is drinks with beautiful strangers and maybe turning those strangers into lovers. So your Sim dreams of starting up a bar or a nightclub or a lounge, pick whichever one you want, where they can more easily meet adult Sims looking for a good time. Your legacy's heir lot will be turned into the bar / lounge / nightclub at the end of their generation. Before you get started, you will be selecting the filthy lot challenge and the romantic aura lot trait for their home. The objective is to complete the serial romantic aspiration, max out the mixology skill, and then if you have seasons, you can create a holiday to celebrate New Year's Eve, and you select the following traditions: countdown to midnight and drinking, and then you can select any other traditions you want to have. And then you must also have a legacy heir. Active household Sims must not have jobs, but you can have them move out and either have the gardener career, the culinary career, or now that you have an established writer in your family, they can also have the writer career if they want. It's now acceptable to order pizza or meal delivery to your home. After you're done, you move out your family, you bulldoze the lot, and then you turn it into a bar or lounge or nightclub, and then you would remove the filthy lot challenge, but you still keep that romantic trait. Alright, Generation 5 is the dedicated parent. This heir's parent was so focused on chasing love that they really never felt very much love from them. So your Sim wants to make their children their top priority in their life, and to do that, they'll be the best stay-at-home parent a Sim can be. Before you get started, you're going to be building the mid-income housing, and it's going to be 3 lots. So pick a neighborhood that has 3 free lots, and then just move into one of them and start building. You will be selecting the good schools lot trait for this particular home. The objective is to complete the super parent aspiration. If you don't have parenthood, you can select successful lineage aspiration, but that requires a child or a grandchild to achieve the top level of a career. So basically, you're going to complete all of the portions of that aspiration and then cheat that task to complete it, since your children aren't supposed to have jobs. All children must be A students before they age up to a teen, and then be an A student again before they age up into adulthood. You must throw each child a birthday party every time they age up, and if you have seasons, you can add a summer holiday to the calendar and then fill it with family-friendly activities to do with your children. And then lastly, you should have a legacy heir. After you're done, you move out your family from the lot, ensure the home is worth 135,000 simoleons or less, and then you would build the other 2 lots. and they each have to be less than 135,000 simoleons each, and you can select the good schools lot for each of those as well. Alright, now we're on to Generation 6, the Swole Sim. This heir has fallen in love with fitness and it needs more opportunities to get moving. Your sim will ultimately build Newcrest's first gym. Before you get started, you select the lot that is eventually going to be the gym, and then it'll also be where your sim and their family live for the time being. You will be selecting the Bracing Breeze lot trait and one of the following lot challenges. You can either select Quake Zone, Roadie, or Gremlins. The objective is to complete the bodybuilder aspiration. You are going to have to cheat the visit the gym requirement after you've completed everything else in the first stage of basic trainer, and then you'll also have to have a legacy heir. After you're done, you'll bulldoze your lot, you'll move out your sims, and then build the gym. You can, of course, donate any equipment that you want to, and then you will also be keeping the Bracing Breeze lot trait, but you'll be removing any of the lot challenges. On to Generation 7, the Artist. This sim's parent was a jock, and they just never understood Gen 7's artistic soul. This sim's goal is to pursue beauty and satisfy their artistic expression. Their legacy later in life will be to establish a new community lot in Newcrest where sims can explore their creativity. Before you get started, you will be selecting the lot in which you will either build a museum or an art center, and then you can build your house on that lot. Select the Natural Light lot trait, and then you can either select Mean Vibes lot trait or the Cursed lot challenge. The reason why? Doesn't it always seem like good art comes from a little bit of suffering? Your objective is to complete the Painter Extraordinaire aspiration, and then after completing the 2 other milestones in stage 2 of the aspiration, Fine Artist, you can cheat for the completion of the task, because it does ask you to sell 3 paintings to collectors or an art gallery, and again, you can't really sell any of your items for the Build Newcrest Legacy Challenge Empty World variation from the easel. You have to sell it directly to a person, so it's against the rules. You have to keep and display 10 excellent quality paintings in your home, and then have a legacy heir. Same rules as all of the other rules. No one in your active household can have a job, but if you do move them out, you can give them one of the previously approved jobs, and you can add the athlete career to that mix. After you're done, bulldoze your lot, donate your 10 paintings by placing them on a wall in the lot, and then moving out your sims. You will be keeping the Natural Light lot trait. Now on to Generation 8, the Budding Real Estate Mogul. Your heir's family line has done a lot for Newcrest, and it's fair to say that they've profited in the process. Your sim has definitely gotten a taste of the good life, but they are aware that it could all come crashing down with a few bad moves. Their goal is to build up an impressive cash buffer. For whatever reason, however, strange stuff keeps happening at their home, and they ultimately decide to move their family out and turn their home into a rental. Before you get started, select and build a home on a lot that will eventually become the vacation rental in Newcrest. Select 2 lot challenges from this list: Cursed, Spooky, or Haunted, or Gremlins. The objective is to complete the Fabulously Wealthy aspiration, max out the Charisma skill, max out the Logic skill, and have a legacy heir. Your active household is yet again not allowed to have a job, but any sim you move out is allowed to have one of the previously approved jobs plus the painter career if they want. After you're done, remove all the items that your sim family will be keeping and move them out. Then you will be keeping the lot basically furnished. Set the lot as a rental and remove the lot challenges if you'd like. Generation 7 is the Socialite. Your parent was all about upward mobility and cementing your family's legacy in Newcrest. You definitely grew up as that rich kid, and in the process learned that connections and influence are everything. Gen 9 is all about appearances and wants to show off what their family has achieved by throwing the best parties. If only there was a good place in Newcrest to hold more parties. Before you get started, select the lot in which you will either build a restaurant, cafe, lounge, and then build a house for your sim and their family to live in the meantime. The objective is to complete the Party Animal aspiration, max out the Charisma skill, max out the Photography skill. After all, was it really a good party party if it wasn't posted on Insta. If you have seasons, you can create a fall holiday that focuses on inviting people over and hosting a grand meal. You can mimic Harvest Fest if you want, or you can create your very own traditions to celebrate. And then you also need to have a legacy heir. Rules, again, your active household is not allowed to have jobs. You should be keeping at least 5 photos of the parties you threw. And if you decide to build a restaurant, you have the option of actually owning and running the restaurant as a business. Kind of a side extra challenge if you want. After you're done, if you did not select the restaurant option, you would be bulldozing your lot, plopping down the party photos. You know, it could be a wall of fame, a wall of shame, and anything else your family would like to bestow upon the new community lot. Move out your family, build your cafe or lounge. If you did select the restaurant option, your family can continue to own and run the restaurant, or you can choose to sell it as a business. As for your home lot, remove anything your family wants to take along with them and then move out of the lot, leaving the home furnished. Decorate the community lot with photos from your parties, so all future Sims that visit will know your Sims influence and their party hosting abilities. And finally, we come to Generation 10, old money. With this generation, Newcrest's lots are completely filled up, and it's turned from empty green fields to a bustling community. Just like the original founder had intended, your family should have the best house in town to match the family's elite reputation. Before you get started, if you did not opt to build a restaurant in Gen 9, then you will have 2 lots to fill up with upper class homes. If that is the case, you would build home number 1 first without moving any Sims in, which means you'll be free building without any simoleon limitations. And then you would move your Sims family into the last lot to start the generation. Otherwise, if you did go with the restaurant route, there's really only 1 lot left for you to take, and that will be your home. The objective will be to build the last home while working towards achieving the Mansion Baron aspiration. You should be picking any 10-level hobby and master it by maxing out the skill level, and then you should also have a child. And then after you're done, total up all of your points for the entire Build Newcrest Legacy Challenge, Empty World Variation, and congratulations, you are done. So there you go. Those are the rules and all of the stages for the Build Newcrest Legacy Challenge, Empty World Variation. I have a Let's Play that I am doing. I am still on Generation 1. If you decide to take on this challenge, please do let me know. Alright kids, that's it. Happy gaming. Bye.